And it says live. And it says live.
It is.
Oh my gosh, this is ingenious. Who invented Livestream? This is crazy.
Technology, am I right, guys?
It's awesome. Yeah.
Well, that's good. How you doing, everybody out there who's listening? I'm Len DiCostanzo, CEO here at MSP Toolkit, and I'm going to have a conversation today about modular cybersecurity with my friend David Converse at Coro and Joe Apuzzo at Coro. David, do a little intro for yourself.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah. So I'm the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships within our channel organization. My group and our team are out there, in working to build the business with our partners and recruit partners. And we've had a lot of success this year. Excited to be here. Appreciate you kicking off this live stream and bringing me in on it.
Yeah, sounds great. Joe, how about yourself?
Ooh, I'm excited to be here. So Joe Apuzzo, I'm one of the senior directors over here at Coro. I've pretty much done everything you can over at Coro. Worked and built up the sales engineering organization, helped work with our product and R&D teams, now working on the sales side of things. Also have an extensive background working in MSPs and other kind of SaaS organizations. So just excited to be here with you fine gentlemen.
Yes, and as you can see, I'm trying to see why my video is blurry, so I'm trying to fix it.
We can imagine what
you are live because you can't do anything about it. Yeah,
I've never had a blurry camera ever. Anyway, a little bit about myself real quick. I started out as an MSP way back before there was an MSP, and worked with Kaseya a couple of years, was Autotask 12 years, Gatto after our merger, and I've worked as a consultant for a few vendor clients, much like Coro here. So I think we're all exposed to MSPs quite a bit, right? It's not like, we're sitting in a vacuum here. So we're going to maybe share a little bit about what we see going on out there. Not only, and actually it might not even be going on in the MSP world. It's starting to go, and that's consolidation. And we've seen it before. So for example, we're talking about MSPs and modular cybersecurity, but we want to set the stage, like why modular cybersecurity, right? And I guess what I hear a lot out there about, a lot out there is MSP have tool fatigue. So too many tools out there. Every show they go to, a shiny object. What are you hearing out there, Joe, about tool fatigue and what's, why are we going to even talk about modular or anything?
It's sometimes you're chasing your own tail. MSPs are always trying to be on the cutting edge. So every time a new product comes out, a new area from Gartner comes out that you need to protect, an MSP obviously wants to plug that hole, bring a tool in. They don't always look at their current stack to see what they might be able to replace. They're just like, okay, we need to go get this tool. So now you're talking about training everyone up, and that's another dashboard you need to see. That's another ticketing that you need to integrate with your system. So it's really just the chicken or the egg, trying to always chase kind of the next thing.
Right. You go out, especially, we tell them to go to shows and learn more. I guess you're going to see something, you want to implement it. And next thing you know, too many tools, right, David? I think you're working with larger partners for the most part. Are you seeing any difference between larger and smaller MSPs? They all grabbing all these tools and kind of getting crazy?
Yeah, well, you certainly see maturation within this tool stacks, things that have been selected, they've been building their businesses around. A process associated with evaluating new technologies and services and seeing how that might potentially add for their either revenue growth incrementally within their client base or potentially for new accounts. But at the same time, there's a lot of pain that's put in on when a guy like me walks in off of the street. If they haven't heard of Coro before and we start going through our sales process, there's a lot they learn. There's a lot they've got to get into, and they got to internalize and test and figure out in the process of rolling things out. And all of those are certainly considerations. But within that group, what I've seen our most productive partners be able to evaluate those choices and over time standardize and bring down the number of portals, the number of access points, the number of agents that are deployed, and streamlining those services, spending more time with the customer and providing that is definitely a goal through this process. And I think all of those things, add to the top line as well as the bottom line. So yeah, we get into that all the time. It's as all the other vendors probably do, trying to get in to make their own space.
You know, it's funny, David. You know, we look like we've been around a while. Joe's kind of pretty new to this, but
Yeah, he's pretty
you
good.
know, I guess
I'm just pretty, guys. All right,
Yeah.
that's we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Len, I was going to throw that at you. I mean, you've been in the industry for a long time. We've been at shows together. We've been at other companies. We've worked in other channels, and you know, I made the choice to come here because of the opportunity, because Coro needed the help, because I saw the vision of where we were taking the platform and the services. I mean, from the outside looking in, what excites you about what Coro is doing, and compared, because the conversations we've had prior to this live stream, but in getting to know one another, you've had a good look at us. What do you think?
Well, I think what's interesting is we're talking modular security, yet a partner has to add another tool to get to modular security, right? So what have I seen? And what I like, you know, I don't want to talk too much about Coro. We're trying to talk about consolidation of a stack. We're going to get to Coro, but I think what's funny is I've been around long enough, David, and you, and where I was going was we've seen anything that's new. Everybody thinks it's new, but it's been around a while, right? Meaning consolidation, right? So Gartner's talking about SASE and consolidating network and cybersecurity. You know, every analyst out there, Forrester, you know, I'm looking here at a stat I pulled out. 75% from Gartner, 75% of organizations are pursuing security vendor consolidation in 2022. So here we are in 2023, heading into 24.
Yep.
And I kind of recall my days at Autotask when, you know, we were a PSA, a professional service automation, and we were going out trying to talk about consolidation of business management tools inside of an MSP's business, right? They would have a CRM, a project management, ticketing, billing, various tools to get their business done. They were all going crazy, you know, whatever we called it at the time, you know, silos of terror, you know, confusion. And to even talk about a PSA as a consolidation platform was kind of blowing people's minds. This is around 2008. So consolidation's been around, and now here we are in cybersecurity, Joe. And you know, why consolidate cybersecurity? Like, what's the value there? What's going on with cybersecurity?
So it's not only consolidation, but correlation. All right, sticking with the C's. So the correlation. I know. Don't worry about it, guys. It's fine. I have a lot more, but no, it's the correlation of data. When you're talking about the threat landscape, and you're talking about hybrid workforce, excuse me, hybrid workforce, in office, people on the road, you're constantly opening up gaps in your environment. You have endpoint security, email security, cloud security. You have network. You have all these areas, and yeah, I could keep going, but I cut myself off. And when you're talking to an MSP, I said earlier, you always want to plug and add a new tool, but that leaves, all right, now I need to look at, all right, what's happening in here? What's happening in here? I take that information. I need to then put it together. One of the benefits of a consolidated tool is that all that's in one place. And then, especially from an MSP's perspective, I know from kind of my time, you want to solve issues as quickly as possible. That is your goal. Your goal is to address your customer, solve it as quickly as possible, move on to the next thing. Having all these dashboards, all of these different areas just adds more time to your investigation, the resolution. Everything in one place, you could get in, get out, onto the next thing. And this is where a lot of MSPs are wanting to move because they're getting higher margins. You can solve more issues in less time. You get to do other things. And that's really what I saw myself and what we're seeing with a lot of our partners.
So basically, it's not, and I guess we're leaning more towards modular cybersecurity. We're talking consolidation, but it's not necessarily just consolidation. It's the fact that when you consolidate, you're going to be able to see across the landscape, much like we talked with PSA, David, where, you know, if you had a CRM and you entered information, now you had to enter that into your billing system. You had to enter it into your ticketing system. The big thing there was reducing double, triple, and quadruple entry. Here, it sounds like from Joe, it's not modular security or consolidation just for the sake of minimizing vendors and tool sets, but they talk to each other. How do you see that as a value yourself for an MSP or their clients for that matter?
And I think the sales term I've heard used is threat vector correlation. someone said that once, and I thought that was
Hey,
really
Joe
cool.
used
Ooh.
Right, so I stole it to have something to say one day, but
It's written on his hand, everyone. It's written on his
well,
hand.
and from the world that we're working within, and I mean in the SME, the SMB, the small customer space, the 50 or less employee space, that we see a lot of managed services being consumed, if you will, from the standpoint of cybersecurity. Having those things speak to one another and having as much coverage as you possibly can in a small account makes a lot of sense. Because if something happens, it could also happen to the service provider, right? And so having the ability to diagnose and provide that coverage, but then having those tools and things interact with one another to provide a blanket of coverage, and having as much of that as we can offer from the standpoint of modular. Some customers have a unique profile. Modular security gives us the ability to build a bundle of service around the uniqueness of that opportunity. But knowing that everything plugs in and correlates and speaks to itself just gives, for me, assurance that you have things covered, and that it's not that something's happening in one portal and it's not being seen by another. You have the ability to feel safe at night that you have coverage. And then working through that managed process with a vendor like we provide, you've also got that 24/7. So I think it's assurance and protection for your business. I think it ties in. That correlation makes things more insurable potentially. So I think that's kind of the business outcome that I believe we're seeing, is being able to build a bundle of service and have a protection blanket for that business.
So we're talking consolidating your cyber platforms, modular cybersecurity, so you could plug in one module at a time, but then they start talking to each other. I guess, Joe, knowing, we work together a bit here, but isn't that what a SIM does? Does a SIM bring in all the data? Should MSPs be looking at a SIM? Like, how does consolidated and modular cybersecurity around, especially with Coro, work with a SIM? And
so most SIM tool, no, absolutely, and it's something that does come up, and we do speak to. A SIM at its baseline is log aggregation. It's taking all that information and it's putting it in a pool. Now you need to then configure the SIM or work with whoever your professional services, your provider, to actually put all of that data in a logical way for you to understand it. Unfortunately, and some of them are a little bit more intelligent than others these days, but you still need to work at it. You still need to put that information in a digestible format. The other component of that is that a SIM by itself can't really act. It's just putting all that information in one place. Now you as the MSP still need to figure out how to act on it, which goes back to needing all the other tools. So a SIM is a great place that you can work with different analytics tools to understand patterns and things like that, but it's really not an end all be all. And unfortunately, coming from 3-4 years ago, that's what everyone thought it was. Everyone thought a SIM was what you needed to have this level of correlation. But the work that it actually took to build it out and actually use it almost made it less cost effective to do it that way.
So we're looking at consolidation to a platform with modular cybersecurity that all talks to each other, but it actually acts on the data and takes care of business on behalf of the MSP.
And you need it to be simple enough that you can have techs working it and you don't need to run them through a 6-month training process.
So a simple, my gosh, we've got a lot of words here. A simple, consolidated cybersecurity platform with modular components that talk to each other.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Crazy and amazing, right?
Have you ever seen anything
lions and tigers and bears? Oh my.
Have you seen this before, David, in your long, illustrious career?
No, not in my long. I've seen enterprise applications trying to simplify themselves down into the small market and try to drive the big mothership down into the smaller motherships of the small business. But I haven't seen something in my years that moves as quickly as we have into providing the complexity at a simple way, right? And so no, that's why I'm here, is because when you have the opportunity to work within an organization and build business, and I'm associating myself with that. The fact that I found something unique and powerful was just all the more draw for me to get in here and start working with it. But I've seen, the Oracles of the world try to work in the small business environment, or you see fill in the blank with SaaS companies that have tried to take the journey downward into the smaller accounts. But we just took the complex, made it simple, made it easy for people to use and provide great service and protection. So for me, it's just been a win-win and a win for our partners.
Well, what's interesting is, I've been doing a lot of reading. I know Coro's got a SASE component in his platform,
Mm-hmm.
and Gartner's been talking about SASE now, I guess, several years. Top of my head, I can't remember when they launched it, maybe 2021, 2019, whatever. But you're talking about consolidating cybersecurity and network, and what you're seeing a lot out there is vendors are buying each other up, or a big vendor is buying a lot of tuck-in just to say, yep, I've got all the SASE components, but they're still different solutions, right, Joe? They're not talking to each other. Whereas the Coro SASE component is actually doing just that. It's all under one roof, same code, talking to each other and reacting. What do you see? Like, do you see someone going in and going, hey, I got one vendor with multiple point solutions that don't talk, or do you got to go more to that modular where they do talk? Do you look at best of breed?
I always say, I'm like, sometimes it's a single invoice, not a single dashboard. So that's what a lot of these enterprise tools are. Yeah, they have an expansive portfolio or Chinese food menu that you can go ahead and pick things out, but it's still not talking to each other, or they're still separate dashboards. All right, yeah, it's one company, it's a single invoice, but you, the IT team, you, the MSP, still need to go ahead and manage all these tools. The whole point of the modular all-in-one dashboard approach that we're kind of trying to do and educate the market on, to David's point, you get to pick what you need now, but everything still builds and snaps together when you need it. One of the bigger things that I'm seeing with the move to SASE and cloud network is honestly from COVID. COVID accelerated the cloud migration for small to medium businesses by, I think, an average of 4 years. Not everyone was kind of on the path, but it accelerated up 4 years. And companies now are trying to really catch up with that. MSPs, even more so, and that's why, like I said earlier, they just want to try to plug the hole because they know that they need it. Instead of, and to take David's point, but instead of have this actual plan on to evaluate tools and have the time to do that, they're just throwing something in and they're like, okay, we're good. Let's do it. And that's really not the best way for them. And that's one of the things that Coro is really trying to help educate on.
Well, you touched on a little bit in David earlier, but so now we're talking, consolidating your tool set, and we want to reduce tool fatigue and get down into this modular platform. How the heck does an MSP go about doing that? We're telling them, they got tool fatigue, but how do they go about?
They need more tools.
They need more tools. But David, I mean, I got an opinion myself because, like I said, I've been talking through, SASE and other things with the MSPs out there. But what's a way an MSP could take a look at their stack, their cyber stack in particular, and go about consolidating it to get into a modular platform that enables all the things we've been talking about here?
Well, we could say the easiest way for them to do is add more tools, but we go through. But
one more tool.
Well, yeah, no, but we go through the process in our conversations with our partners and doing an evaluation. We would look at like a map, right? And so we'll map out the stack. We'll map out the points of interest and the places that we see that we could add value. We'll connect ourselves in with the process of trials and evaluation, but also understanding the partner's real vision for where this is going. Because I don't think where we're at today is where it'll be a year from now from the standpoint of security, the tools, the features, and everything they'll have to be working on. So understanding the journey that they're on as well is also helpful. So we can definitely, they're going to evaluate new solutions anyways. There is a part of this that is just part of the process with the tools, but we really get in a granular way and try to understand the type of service and protection that they're providing, and then apply our value to give them an opportunity to make those choices with us. Maybe it's the first choice, but then they can see the long-term impact because they can roll back on a contract or get out of some things that way.
Yeah. So again, I think, Joe, from your perspective, what are you seeing in terms of taking that approach and getting into a modular platform?
It's great. It's honestly great for them because an MSP always has a project. Doesn't matter what time of the year, what stage of the game, they're always working on some project. So to come to them with the modular approach, hey, you can start small instead of throwing this kitchen sink at them and saying you have to rip and replace everything, and they start sweating, they start looking at resources. It's like, no, you get to start small. You get to take this small bite. Let's get you guys ramps up on it. Let's just get you in the interface. Let's get you on one piece. Now, as we build, they already know the interface. They already know kind of how to work things. Now it's just a new threat vector. Now it's just kind of a new area that we help them with. But the modular approach really helps them to plan and take these little steps instead of just that kind of 100-yard jump that they need to do, which a lot of tools unfortunately have that. You need to bite this off. You need to get 80 hours of professional services to work with these teams and build these out. And Len, to your point, what a SIM, what you would have to do to configure a SIM and do all of that. With at least Coro's modular approach, you really don't have to do that because you get to set your schedule.
What's interesting is I've been on a bunch of calls trying to get to know you guys and the product with the channel team and talking to MSPs. And we've kind of gone down the path of, look at your stack. Maybe one of the 14 modules and add-ons that's in the Coro platform, maybe encryption is missing in the portfolio of the partner. That, to your point, gets them into the interface. And then perhaps they've got other vendors they're not under contract with, right? And David, we've chatted about this. Maybe there's a contract they're not that's coming due, or they're not under contract, and now they like the interface, Joe, right? They got the interface in front of them. They see how simple it is, and then they maybe take another product out and begin that consolidation. Because again, you talked earlier, Joe, about they talk to each other. So you don't want to have one module, David. You probably don't want to just have two. You kind of got to get that whole thing in there, but it's a process. To Joe's point. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a sales guy, at heart. So I'm thinking always think.
You want to sell it all. You want to sell it right now.
Yeah, sure, but I imagine anyone that's been in front of an opportunity for cybersecurity and with their customers has an approach that says, "Here's what we provide you as service," right? But the landscape's changing. And modular security gives you the ability to say yes potentially to some other choices like mobile device management or our secure messaging. We could come up with the other names of our stack. But there are opportunities out there that people have probably walked away from that they didn't see a safe path forward by taking on something new. And what modular security gives them is a bench in a testing process, a way to say yes to some other opportunities potentially.
Yeah, so I think we've kind of got it down where there's proliferation of tools across business management covered by the PSA. Gartner with network and cyber, Coro with modular cybersecurity. We talked about how to kind of go about consolidating into a platform like Coro, and maybe we've touched on some of the benefits, but maybe as we're getting close to the bottom of the hour here, guys, maybe Joe, how will, kind of sum it up? How does a modular platform benefit an MSP and their clients?
It's really allowing them to craft the customer's solution. What do I mean by that? So the MSP has Coro's 14 modules. The MSP has access to our entire portfolio. They're trained on it. They know what they're doing. But their customer, to my point earlier, might only need endpoint security. So you know what? We can give them endpoint security. That's customer A. Customer B might need email security. All right, great. Let's get them email security. Now customer B also has a regulatory requirement for data governance. Great. Let's flip it on for them. Customer C needs the whole gamut. They are highly regulated. They need everything. You know what? We could flip everything on for them. So it's not just from the MSP's management perspective, but it's also from the solution design perspective. And again, coming from the sales engineer background, that's also what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to really craft that for them and not fit a square peg in a round hole. And that's what modular cybersecurity is doing for our partners, is not only giving them a platform that they can run pretty much almost everything they need to, but then on the other side of it, really give that consultative approach to their customer base.
I like that, Joe. It's really, it just comes down to what does the client need, and obviously the MSP should know what they need. But David, from your perspective, benefits, values to the MSP and the client.
Well, we did have, to Joe's point, and then also, a question that Alexa threw in that brought forward is, what are the top reasons why, some of the MSPs we've worked with have gone through the process of switching or changing out or working with Coro over, their current stack or some of the vendors that they have. And, it's really been, for me, it's been two areas. One, they saw the opportunity for top line growth within their business. They have clients today that maybe need cybersecurity at a comprehensive level for less than $150 a user. And they saw that we could build a very significant stack without technically challenging their teams to learn a new technology as easy as we make it for and intuitive to use our platform service. So they could see it potentially as a prospecting ability to grow their revenue. The other partners we've had have just, quite frankly, had it with how big the stack is and how many portals and how many agents that they're managing. And they saw we say consolidation, they just saw bringing it together to make it easier for their teams to manage the chaos and stay on top of things. And that translates to internal satisfaction of the teams. Also, it turns into more happy employees and more production and more margin potentially in the business because you're focused in and delivering. So top line revenue, because there are accounts out there that some people just don't touch because they don't buy the Cadillac version of cybersecurity with $150 to $200 a user, or the bottom line savings and trying to make it a little easier for everyone to provide service. So for me, it's been one of those two reasons.
I love it. I was going to try to get close to the end, but I just thought of a question as you guys were we were dialoguing. But so we got MSPs looking at their stack, figuring out, what's the vendor to go to that they can land this modular platform and consolidate tools. But an MSP already has solutions in their stack. They've already deployed it out to their client. So now they got to go out and position a change to a different vendor, because if they have a gap and introduce encryption, then they start adding all the other Coro modules. Like how does an MSP go about positioning the change? And it'll probably be our last question, Joe, but I thought it was important to ask. How does an MSP then go out, as they've put a new platform in, and go, hey, client, I'm going to change what you already have and go with this? How do you do that?
So before we do that, I will just kind of prompt the audience. If you guys have any other questions, feel free, whatever social you're on, post it. We will get you an answer on that. Our back-end team is telling me to do that. So that was the one plug. But again. Really, yeah.
Why is Alexa really, asking you to prompt? I'm here. Ask me, Alexa, to prompt.
Well, you're
everybody, put your questions in. Please give
sorry.
It's not scripted, so it just happens this way. Yeah.
It just happens. But no, it's a great question, because I mean, the end user, the end user customer, they don't care. They want their cybersecurity managed. They want it handled. They don't care how it's happening, what it's happening. So it's on the MSP to explain to them the benefits. Now, first and foremost, there could be cost benefits. We don't know if the MSP, even with adding margin, could still lower the cost for their customers to help them out. But really, it's I'm saying
just hopefully to get more profit with a lower cost. But I get you,
right.
But what they see, that's why I'm the tech guy. I don't. But no. But on a serious note, it's really the threat analysis that they're getting. It's the protection that they're getting, and helping them to understand that, look, we're making this change for you. We're making this change because it's in your best interest to make sure that us as your cybersecurity provider are covering as much as we can for you. And it really has to come from that we're protecting you perspective, because that's really, at the end of the day, what it is.
You know, David, I'd give you a chance to weigh in on that if they let us. We're at the bottom of the hour, but we could either wrap it up, and I guess Alexa's talking to you, Joe, or Alana. What is she telling you we should do?
No, we had the Chinese food menu, so I'm ready for lunch. So,
Yeah,
all right.
right.
Well,
you know.
I got to tell you, I think it's been a great conversation about modular cybersecurity, how MSPs can go about consolidating their stack and the benefits to them and their clients. So really appreciate you guys jumping in. I mean, maybe a shout out to Alana, Nathan, and Alexa O'Rourke, Eva Salas in the back for getting us here, right, David?
Absolutely, yeah.
So any parting words to your audience out there? I know you're pretty famous.
We have great people. We have great company. We're growing quickly. We have a great channel team, great support, real people. So we reach out. We won't hard sell you. We'd love to work with you, and we can do great things together. So,
Joe, parting words.
I'm not going to top that. I just happy to be here with you guys. I had a lot of fun. Looking forward to next time.
Well, I'm just going to try to get myself clear. Oh, there it is. It worked. Appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys. I've totally enjoyed my time with Coro. I think it's an incredible solution. Certainly reminds me of the days we consolidated business management for MSPs with Autotask, and I see it happening right here with cybersecurity. You guys are at the forefront, and actually Coro 3, the latest release, is what made this happen. So, wishing you guys great success, and look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. So have a great day, guys, and everybody out there.
Yeah, take care. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, guys.